Hello and welcome to the Saturday, August 17th, 2019 episode of the Happy Hero Show. Now, today's episode is about being all in life and life's work, but even it's about daily activities. So, daily activities would be daily mastermind. Oops. Just realized I didn't do something right, but I can fix that. Anyway, the point of events and attending events and masterminding is to grow yourself. So you've got to be all in. I apologize. Cats are being crazy. So here are 3 reasons that require you to be all in when you're daily masterminding and when you're attending events. The first is you've got to show up. And not just actually show up. You've got to show up in your who you are, your power. And there's the next reason, and that's to make a good first impression. Now, that first impression is going to tell a lot with that person. And if you show weakness, it can mean things. If you show strength, it can mean things. If you show who you really are, it can mean things. If you are dishonest, it can mean things. And so you've got to really think long and hard about what impression you're bringing and what impression you want to create. And you've got to create a positive mental attitude in order to do that. Now, the third is to give and get from the event. That's why it requires you to be all in. Because if you're just part way in and you're giving a little and you're getting a little, that's okay. But if you're all in and you're giving your all, then you're going to get far more in return. Those serendipitous reactions, those serendipitous interactions are going to help you create what you want to create. Because it may not be immediately, it may be 5 years down the road, it may be 10 years down the road, but that interaction that you have can mean something at that event, at those daily masterminds. 10 years down the road, you may be the first person that's thought of because 10 years prior, during that masterminding session, you said something that just resonated with them 10 years later. And that's the power of the mastermind. That's the power of the mastermind principle, the mastermind alliance, is that it's not just immediate, it's something that lasts for a lifetime. You can have an alliance once and you can still reap the fruits and benefits of it years later. You can also have the consequences of it, but the point is that generally a mastermind, because it's creating a third, more powerful mind, it's almost always going to be positive if you go into it positive. It's almost impossible for it to become negative in the grand scheme of things. It may be negative in the short term. Things may not work in the short term, but if you come with it with enough positive, then eventually the positive is going to show through, and it's going to come through, and it's going to just as much adversity and defeat as you have. You're going to have that much or greater success if you persist, but you have to persist. Now, the last few days have been kind of a struggle for me, and I've had to persist. And now I'm sitting here having persisted. I skipped yesterday, and I'm going to be taking a day off each week, I believe, just for some rest and relaxation. Some personal me time spent with people that I care about, because I was overwhelming myself, and I don't know why. I mean, is it really going to make a difference if I have a little bit of extra episodes? It might. But if I take that day off and can refresh myself and come back with better content the next day, then that's even better. And, I mean, 6 days a week or 7 days a week, really, it's not that big of a deal. Now, if I start taking more days off, that's significant. I've got a lot in the works. Now, it was years ago that I first came up with the idea for an event. And now years have passed by, and I've really refined the vision for the event. And I would like the first one to be in Jackson. And even if the first one's not in Jackson, I have the Jackson one designed. It's going to be a mixture of at Ella Sharp Park, at Cascades, at downtown, even Lean Rocket Lab, and those kinds of things. Consumers Energy, showing people these things are very important. The Michigan Theater can hold like 1,559, as long as they still can hold the same amount as they could before. It's going to be an experience for people. It's the Happy Hero Expo, and that event experience is about getting people to be all in. It's about getting people to take control of their life. And the pricing model and how I'm going to do it exactly, I've had a million different ideas and a million different refinements. But ultimately, we need our own hotels. We need our own spaces. We need our own communities. And it starts with creating villages and continuing to build out these spaces. And we need to start acquiring property, and we're willing to wait 5 years, 10 years to build something, because in the grand scheme of things, we're looking at a 30-year mission and vision. Now, the great thing about this is it's not going to require people to migrate. And I think that's important. We don't want people migrating if they don't have to. It's much better to go to them and say, here's some resources, here's some education, this is what you can do with it. Or you can, stay your own way. You can work with us. You don't have to work with us. That's the big thing, is separating like a force. You have to work with us first. We're making this available to you. If you'd like to work with us, great. But if not, that's fine too. We're not trying to force anyone to work with us. There's so many different possibilities out there that of course you don't have to work with us. But for the ones that do want to work with us, I think they understand the significance of what I'm working toward. I mean, I do these videos day after day, and I'm going to continue, and it's an addiction in a way, but it's my way of paying it forward. It's my way of giving back. It's my way of putting my ideas out there so that other people can take them if they want. My wife was saying something about, about patents and things like that. And of course I want to protect things. But I also want to make things available for the world. I want people to not feel locked in. I want people to want to work with me. I want people to want to work with me based on a rating thin experience. Because I look at Android and I still don't want to use Android. Apple has created an experience for me that makes it so that I don't want to use the competition. That's my goal as well. Using Apple technology, Tesla technology. This is about Tesla energy, but it's also about the Tesla transportation. It's about creating really fun transportation and safe transportation, and it's just working about creating safer and safer places for people to live, work, play, love, learn, and pay it forward. I picked these for a reason, and I don't like to necessarily stick a stake in the ground somewhere, especially on a $50 billion car company that's so new. But there's something unique about Elon. There's something unique about the company. There's something unique about what they're doing. And that combined with SpaceX, I believe it's a perfect partnership, especially for the long-term 30-year vision, getting people into outer space, living on Mars, things like that. I think if we're building cities, we're going to be a prime partner for that. And it'll just make sense. I just want to help feed, house, and empower people. And I want this event to help people understand how to do that, help educate people how to do that. But I also want these podcasts, these shows, to be events in themselves, to help people break through in their lives and become new, better versions of themselves. I mean, that's not really too much to ask. I mean, if I'm genuinely giving, if I'm genuinely putting stuff forward, that shouldn't be a problem. So, am I showing up? Am I making a good impression? Am I giving in order to get? Well, you tell me. Are these episodes any good? What would make them better? Do you want to be on here? Do you want to interview? Do you want me to interview you? Do you want to interview me? It's time to push forward on this big time. Oh no. Sorry, distraction. Well, I think I'm going to end it there, but I want you to think long and hard. Are you showing up? Are you making a good first impression? And are you giving in order to get? Not just giving to get, but are you giving before you even try to ask for the get? Because if you're not giving first, when you go to a place of business, you say, hey, here's my money. Now can I have your service? And the same goes for everything. If you give first, then you get a lot more effectively. And giving is a resource. You've got to be resourceful with it. Sometimes you're going to misuse resources, and that's fine, the time, the energy. But if you show up, you make a good first impression, and work to constantly improve that impression, by giving, you're going to be golden. Well, it may not be immediately, you may face struggle, but it's going to work out in the long term. And I just look at where I've come in the last year, and it's pretty magical. It's pretty exciting. It's pretty cool. I'm so glad to have this show. I finally have this show. I finally have these 7 podcasts. I finally have stepped into this new life. And I'm finally in control of what I want to do with it, what I want to do with myself. If I want to take a day off because I'm having a bad day, I can. And that's what I've been fighting for like, since I was a teenager. I always wanted to be wealthy because it's not that I didn't want to contribute. It's that I needed to be able to have my own personal days. And I know that a lot of employers offer that, but it was about more than that. It was about solving this issue. And I don't know that I have it 100% solved, but I feel like I've got a good understanding of my body and what's going on with it. And I feel like I've got a good handle on how to help move the needle forward and bringing the right people together by actually measuring things, by actually bringing the teams together, by actually having missions, real visions, real goals, and definiteness of purpose. So if you are ready to fully understand what I'm working on, you're probably not by just going to inspirelansing.com, but it's at least going to give you a base foundation. If it sparks your interest combined with these podcasts, then I want you to reach out. Either become a customer, happyherodeposit.com, or reach out to be an employee, reach out to be a customer. If you have questions, reach out to be an investor. Whatever you want to reach out for, do it, because I want to connect. I want to understand what you like, what you dislike, what needs to change, what needs to improve. I just want the interactions. I appreciate the interactions. I appreciate your feedback and input. And some I might not agree with, but I appreciate it regardless. And I think that together I can help a lot more people. I can't do this on my own. And the more people I have help with this, the more people I'm going to be able to help, because it's just going to compound and build upon each other. And I need the initial win to get this launched off the ground. And that's what I'm doing with these podcasts. Is eventually it's going to take hold, and it's right now I'm getting more and more listeners. It's improving, and eventually there's just going to be that tipping point, and I'm going to be able to be a lot more effective. And I mean, it's not going to happen overnight necessarily, but each day it's getting better and better. And there may be that one viral post that just really impacts some lives. That would be incredible. But if none of them have a ton of views and all of them just impact one life, or just one person, it doesn't even have to be a big impact, just a smile on their face, just to help shift their day in the right direction so that they can take control of their lives. So many people have done that for me. This is just my way of paying it forward. This is just my way of giving back, my way of doing my own purpose. And I want you to step into your purpose. That's what the Happy Hero Show is about. Appreciate you. Check out inspirelansing.com.